Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner Studio, and with me today are two ladies from the Mountain View Music Studio.
Yes.
It's a long name, but they're on Main Street, so it's easy to find them.
Yeah.
So they have a great little business on Main Street, and they teach music and they put on music venues and just a lot of things that are so cool for our local artists. But they're having a great fundraising event and a silent auction coming up on April 2nd, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So tell us who you are, because I butcher their names every time I say them. So tell us who you are, tell us where you're from, and tell us about April 2nd.
Okay, so my name is Karena Tapsak. I am from Farm Royal now. I've lived here for 2.5 years, but I'm actually from the Midwest. We moved here a couple of years ago, like I said, and I'm a piano teacher. And I have been teaching for about 6 years, and I've been doing lots of other kinds of things before that, including homeschooling and teaching lots of different things.
Right.
We started Mountain View Music after I'd already been teaching for about a year, my piano studio, and it was just bursting at the seams. And so got to thinking about this community and kind of really what was needed here, and found that there's just a lot of demand for music instruction. So that was really exciting. And that was what led me to Larissa, because I had known of Larissa Fedoryka here in town, coming from a talented family.
They're very talented.
Very.
All 14 of you? I don't care.
Not that many.
10. I know there's a lot.
Yeah.
And every one of them do something in music, so it's great. It's great.
Yeah, so I had gotten connected with her and just told her that I had this idea of expanding and offering lots of different kinds of things. And she was pretty excited about that idea too. So we started in the middle of COVID, which was crazy. We started summer of 2020, we were talking about it.
Yeah.
And then opened up in the fall of 2020. So so that's a little bit about us.
Yes.
And you want to hear about our event.
Yes, because we were trying to raise some money. So tell us what's all that about.
Yes. Okay. So we had already planned to do kind of a spring benefit concert. We had this going for several months to raise money for our scholarship program, because the demand is just exceeding the supply that we have here. We have a lot of people who would love to take lessons. And so then all of this thing happened with Ukraine, and Larissa has some Ukrainian background, which she can tell you a little bit about. And so we decided that we would do the benefit not only for our scholarship program, but also to raise money for Ukraine relief.
That's great.
So so it's basically all of our teachers are going to be performing. Well, not all of them. There's some of them that aren't going to be able to make it, but most of us will be there.
Right.
Yeah.
You have a house full.
We have a lot. Yes, we do. We do.
And it's a free concert. So we just want to open it up to the community to have people come. And I think that's one thing that I think both of us realized a little bit is, I grew up playing classical cello, and I went out to California and got my doctorate in cello performance. And my whole family's here. So I wanted to move back, but at the same time thinking moving back to Farm Royal, where there isn't, culturally, we don't have a lot going on in the arts, and thinking, well, gosh, do I give up my music and live with my family, or do I move to a city? And actually it was ideal with COVID, because everything closed down, and then suddenly you're thinking, well, why can't we have people come to Farm Royal?
Sure,
we drive to DC all the time. Why can't we bring people out here in this direction?
They'd much rather come here than go to DC.
Yeah, I know. It's gorgeous. You go hiking, and then you come and you go to a concert. And we have, once we started doing this, it was amazing how out of the woodworks, these really fantastic musicians, pianists and guitarists and just drummers, all the people were coming out and realizing, wow, we have something incredible that we can offer here. The problem is that we do live also in a place where people aren't used to it. So to pay $15 or even $10 to go see a concert, people are not as willing to do that.
Sure.
So finding that, having it free and just having people come in and experience that, eventually, you're going to have to charge tickets because we're hoping to get some bigger names out here. But in the meantime, all of us teachers are really excited to be bringing this to the community, and we want to share our gift with the community here.
Well, it's amazing. Sometimes, in my experience working with some other nonprofits and some groups, is the donations actually end up making them more money than trying to charge, trying to sell something, and people look at it and say, well, they're trying to put a value on it. But when they attend something or go to an event that something that they're trying to help the community, people look at that, and if they like it and love it and want to be involved, the donations way exceed the price. So sometimes quit putting a limit on yourself. You know?
Yeah.
That's what we do. We limit ourselves thinking, well, that's only worth $5.
Right,
And somebody might give me $25 if they want to support the Royal Examiner. So I don't.
There you go.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about this area. I was looking through, at National Media, and we do all our CDs and DVDs and things. And I was looking at our customer base local, which is, one day UPS, let's just say. Hundreds, and I got like 400 customers that can drive here in an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unreal. Just think about this area. That doesn't count Washington, D.C. Actually, people said, why did you move out to Washington, D.C.? I said, because I'm closer to my customers. And really, I have more customers in Chicago than I had in Washington, D.C. And with UPS being right here and the way, this is pre-COVID, and so it's even changed. People are all over the place now, and they're just used to dealing with, they still want that local personal touch, but they're willing to step outside their local community. And especially in the music field, they're really easy to travel around. They're just used to that. And your brothers can attest to that.
Yeah, totally. And
but it's just something. And when people like what you're doing, they like you, they like the cause you're support, they'll support you. They'll come out.
Yeah.
And
they have.
You don't need thousands. You just need a few.
Yeah.
Just a few with the deep pockets. That's
there you go.
I know who wanted to support the arts.
And you've been doing it a while. There's even in a big city, and you put on a big concert, they're still limited. When you look at the percentage of the population, you go to Washington, D.C., and say you have 1,000 people show up, but you're from an audience of 4 or 5 million.
Right.
So really, 1,000 isn't that many. So you kind of have to look at it in that scale. But so if you can get 100 people to show up, that's a good-sized concert.
Absolutely.
And can be profitable enough to do it. So I think there's a lot of people that have moved out here we'll call that of culture, and the rest of them were training,
Yeah, exactly. And it's neat because it is a smaller venue, which I think is really fantastic because we're so used to there being this big divide between the audience and the performers. And I do a lot of house concerts.
I was going to say that phrase, house concert, is something that musicians have really embraced in the last 10 years. I think that people have come into that realizing that, there's more out of entertaining than standing up in the stadium that I can't see anybody.
Right. And there's no connection. That's what the arts are. It's about communicating with the audience, between like a communication that's happening between artist and performer and the audience. And this provides that space. And I did a concert a little while back, classical Baroque music. And it was just neat because people were talking about, I feel the vibrations of the instrument, or I can see what your fingers are doing, and they're experiencing it in a very different way, which is going to make them more likely to want to participate more in the arts.
Right.
So,
and you're seeing more and more of the classical musicians being featured into more of what's modern considered our culture, our music, I don't want to say the word rock and roll, but more pop type stuff. And all of a sudden there's cello players,
movies,
movies and things like that. And so, but instruments like the cello, it's got a beautiful sound.
Yeah.
And, and when people watch you play, it's like, or like the violin, any of those fretless type, how do you play that? How do you make that work? It's years of practice.
Yes.
So, but people always say, I wish I could do that. Well, you could if you put in the 40 hours a week I did.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing that I think is really important because when Karena approached me, her passion is teaching and my passion is performing.
Right.
And so we're coming from these two different angles, which I think is very important for students to see their teachers performing, to see excellent musicians as well. So this isn't just, we're bringing culture to the place. We are inspiring, hopefully, the students that are going to be coming here, and showing them this is why you're learning. This is why you're putting practice time in.
There's hope. Right. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly.
If you put in the work, or the teacher can actually do it.
Yeah.
It is possible.
Yeah. So, you're playing the chopstick things, or Mary Had a Little Lamb, all of a sudden it's going to turn into some concerto or some sort.
Right.
So, and it will. It does. And, I tell people all the time, I said, if nothing else, you should at least learn to play an instrument or play something other than radio, and play a piano. And the old commercial, you say, they laughed until I sat down at the piano. Remember that? You learned to play the piano in the back of a comic book or something. But, there's a lot of truth in that. And when you can sit down and just play one song or play something that you get enjoyment out of, there's a lot of lifelong experience in that. I know my kids took lessons in school, high school, and things, and some went on and played a little longer. They played in the community band, and that's another thing. You go to the community band, you see these people in their 70s and 80s still blowing trombones, and things, and they're doing it because they enjoy it and love it, and the performing side of things. So it's a lifelong thing, and it's very
absolutely
it's really cool. So
Yeah.
I tell you, I can play the radio and the CD player and the things like that.
Yeah.
it's never too late.
But,
I know. We have some spots open.
We teach adults.
as I did take steel guitar lessons back when I was back when Hawaiian music was such a big thing, and I played the steel guitar, but I just never finished it. But I always made sure my kids learned to play an instrument because it was something that, and they all did, and they seemed to grasp it.
Yeah,
they loved it.
That's awesome.
So I try to encourage people to do it, and this is a great place to do it. We have it right on Main Street.
Yep.
You have a lot of availability. I mean, you're flexible on your hours. And,
We sure are.
yeah. So how many teachers do we have now?
We have 14 teachers.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And
A few of them are part-time.
but that's...
almost all of us are part-time.
But how many students then?
How many students? We have, let's see, over 100 private students right now taking private lessons. And then we have a homeschool choir that we run on Thursdays, and that's got about 40 right now. And last year they had 80. We're hoping to increase it again because we lost a director, so we'll be, increasing that up. Looking at all sorts of other types of things, string ensembles. My goal is to have a full orchestra one day, and maybe even a homeschool band. I come from that kind of a background, so there's a lot of kids that have already indicated an interest in that. So there's some things.
We also have
we have
ballet.
Summer camps. We have ballet. We have what am I forgetting?
I know.
There's just a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, and that's the thing people don't realize in our community that we have all this things that are happening. And that's why we try to get people to come in, tell us, what are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
And people, I didn't know they did that. And we have a great community here, and we just want to spread the word out. But because you put on some concerts and things there, maybe more like a house concert. I did notice that a lot of our restaurants now are having live music.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
I mean, they're small venues because we don't really have a big big places.
Yeah.
But they're all putting it on. Maybe one night, 2 nights, once or twice a month, and you always hear, of course, David Downs has got his rock and roll or Dewey or somebody playing, and then we have our the Blue Ridge Arts Council puts on the summer concert every Friday night at the gazebo starting, and that'll be coming up. So we have a lot of that going on, and it draws a crowd.
It does.
It does
Definitely.
draw a crowd, and again, that's part of what we want to do, and I think that. What's that word they use? Enrichment, life enrichment, and what music does, and it's kind of a universal language.
Absolutely.
It's amazing as you've studied. I'm sure.
Oh my gosh!
Places from people all over the world, and they can read that music. And that music, it's a common language. It's
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
So what do you think of moving back to Fernwell? Has it been everything you expected?
Oh my gosh.
It's hard. You know what? Everybody does come home.
I know. Eventually, you have to make your way home. Well, it's been great. I mean, it happened right before COVID, which made it easier because wherever everything was shut down. So I was like, well, I might as well be out in the country. But it's like anything. You just realize you can't wait for someone to come into your town and change it for you. No. You have to be that change. And if I want to be playing music, performing music with excellent musicians, and I have to create my own opportunities.
Right.
And so
that's exactly how I felt too.
Right. Even if you have to sit on the street corner down at the gazebo and play, you can draw a crowd. You will draw a crowd.
She does. She does.
I mean, you does.
She does very well with her house concert
cello player with that
yo-yo ma.
He can draw a crowd.
He can draw a crowd.
And I've seen some things, and you see things like that. And we were doing a recording here, and if you remember Will Shank, and he's saying, that needs a cello on it,
Well, there you go.
I know. Yeah.
Just somehow in his head, he said, that needs a cello. And a cello? I think it was a bluegrass thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it you? You might have come in and played it, but anyway, he come in and the guy said, "Oh, yes, you're exactly right. It needed a cello."
Nice.
Hilarious.
So
yeah.
there's things like that is going on, and it fits across the genre of music. I mean, it's not just all classical, Baroque, and all that kind of thing. It's everywhere, and we don't really realize it. I remember years ago, I was in Hollywood doing some interviews, and we were interviewing the Captain and Tennille. If you remember those people.
Oh my.
And we were talking, and they came to Wolf Trap one time. And anyway, when their show went on television, if you remember, he played that big organ and things, but they still had to hire an orchestra to sit they sat there, had to pay him. They never played because he played all the parts on his organ. But because of back then, the musicians union and broadcasting, they had to have a whole orchestra on staff. Funny. And I just thought that a bit of useless information, but it just shows you how the music works, and we hear that stuff. We don't realize that, and another person, one of our customers, and a friend of ours, was an announcer at ABC, and every day he had to go to this ABC in Washington and said, "Here's the news at 7:00, brought to you by what?" And he had a 30-second thing, and that's all he did. That was his only job for every day, 6 days a week. He went to Washington. Couldn't record it. Had to be live.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
So, but those rules have changed a lot. Things like that, and so we can adapt. I mean, the recording has changed, your musician has changed, and even if you're not great at it, you just have to be good enough and that you enjoy it.
Right.
And you have all sorts of levels. And everyone's going to have a doctorate in music.
Right.
But there's going to be a lot of people that enjoy it and have fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I tell people, are you a musician or are you an entertainer? Like,
I
put your brothers in the entertainment field. They're great musicians.
Yeah. No, they're entertainers.
They're at the stage of the life that we're entertaining. That's the Scythian, if you ever heard about them. And
Scythian.
And they've been around, and they're great. And they travel around the world, and they do a lot of great things. But right now, they're in the entertainment mode.
Yes.
And,
totally.
But it's great. And, we just love them. And we just don't realize the talent that we have in our community.
I know.
You said you have over 100 students. That's a lot.
I do. And the response has just been tremendous. I never would have guessed that it would just continue to grow and grow and grow the way it is. And that it would, I'd have so much demand, and there's even more out there. We just have to get the word out,
And we have very talented teachers, but it's amazing to see how talented the kids are.
Yeah. Right. And how dedicated.
And dedicated and it's really enriching for us, but we realize we need to reach, it's either you have a lot of kids so you can't afford the lessons, or, you're just not, it's not like we live in we're not in DC where all the parents have all this money to spend, and we want to be able to reach. When I was a student myself, there was a time when I didn't really have money for lessons, but I would find a teacher, and this one teacher in particular, she's like, just don't worry about paying. Just come. And she devoted her time to some inner city kids to help them. And I just thought, gosh, that's so incredible. Like, why is music only for the wealthy?
Right.
This is so enriching. Then I want it to be available for everybody. And so, at the same time, these teachers have to live themselves and support families. And so we just really want to be able to get a big scholarship fund going. So it's just, you want it? Sure. What can you pay? $5? That's fine. We got it covered.
Right.
Yeah.
We need, like you said, you need that endowment.
Yeah.
We do. Because, right now, in some of the teachers, we do bartering kind of things, if we can. But having the scholarship fund there would be really, 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 really helpful.
So tell us a little bit about, we've talked about everything, but about the event.
But about the event.
What is the event going to be about? Is it live? Is it virtual? Is it online?
Okay, so
it's yes to all.
Yes. It's live. We're having the concert at 7 p.m. Doors are going to be open at about 6:30. So we're going to have, you can come in and look at all the lovely things that the local businesses have donated. And we've got some really cool stuff up for auction. You have
like the sheet and you put your name on it.
We do have the,
So that means you got to keep going back and around because someone's going to outbid you. Yeah.
I know.
Well, yes, there's that. So, we'll have our MC who will be, constantly reminding in between sets and stuff.
Sure.
Get over there and take a look at what's going on and stuff. We want to raise as much money as possible.
That's
so,
great.
But yeah, we have kind of, most of classical, it's all classical music being played. We hope to put a couple of Ukrainian pieces in there too, in honor of Ukraine. But we're doing, let's see, there's a trio of piano, cello, and violin. There's piano duet. There's a lot of solo stuff, cello, flute,
Drums.
How do you get all that stuff in your building? I mean,
I know.
you don't have the biggest space.
We
down
don't
there.
have a huge space, but we utilize our time pretty well, with scheduling
Smoke
and
and
stuff.
mirrors,
It's all smoke and
Yeah,
mirrors. It's all
exactly.
happening back
Exactly.
behind the curtain.
So the
and stuff.
concert's at 7:00 on
Yep.
April the 2nd.
Yes.
So that's a
And it's
Saturday,
free.
isn't
It is a
It's a
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Yep, it's free will offering, but feel free to bring your wallet.
Sure, that's great. And there's a lot of
checkbook.
great things that go on. And
Yeah.
if you're at all interested in music, local musicians, music, the culture, even if you're not, come on down because you will be. Once you hear her play her cello, you will be sold on it. It's April the 2nd at the Mountain Vista.
Mountain View
Music.
Mountain View Music Studios.
Yeah.
On, what's the address? It's
217 East Main Street. in
217
Royal.
East Main Street. Isn't that like the old quality?
Quality shop.
Yes.
It's been a lot of things, but it was back in the day. It was a clothing store.
A clothing
it's been
store.
a bike shop.
Yeah.
Just
We
before
gutted
us, it was a computer
and
store.
redid it
Oh, wow.
completely inside. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you've been down there.
It's
really,
really
we're gonna
nice.
stop in.
It's very classy.
I remember I bought some clothes at that place.
Oh, you did? Oh my gosh.
That's when they had a tailor. They actually
Yeah.
had an old guy in there and measure you and fix it
And
right
make it
up.
perfectly.
Come back tomorrow and pick it up.
Yeah,
So
nice.
those days are gone.
Yeah, they
but that goes
are.
back to kind of what you're doing.
Yeah.
We're trying to bring those things back. And where we
Absolutely.
have
And we really want to help revitalize the downtown. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
that is,
Yeah.
there's so many neat things that are happening downtown.
well,
right now.
how the downtown goes, the county go or the
Yeah.
community goes.
Yeah.
And whether we support or we go downtown at all, we need to keep that alive and going because that's the heart and soul
Right.
of our
Of the
community.
town.
It is. And,
Yeah.
and of course, our town is the heart and soul of the county. So that's why I
Yeah.
always try to give
Yeah.
them a plug to the,
Absolutely.
poke the county a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't forget,
Yeah.
We're it.
We're it. We're here. Hey, we're here. Yeah. So,
Yep.
but I do
Yeah.
appreciate all the things that both of you are doing, and it's
you.
great. And we're going to April the 2nd, 7:00.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
great concert, silent auction. They need to raise some money to keep our students going. Real quick, I wanted to mention, the schools obviously have a band program which has been diminished, and
Yeah.
every time they cut, what's the first thing they cut in budgets is
Yeah,
the fine
I know.
arts,
Music,
right?
yeah.
And it's really a mistake, but that's what they do to try to get kids in, to get involved. I've talked to a couple of Will was a music teacher
Oh, yeah.
and studied at Shenandoah. But I always amazed me because when my son was in 5th grade, he started to play the trumpet, right? And I always surprised me. I went there and here's these 20 or 30 kids that don't know one end of the trumpet from the other, and can't get a noise out of it. Okay, and you come back in a month and there's a little noise, and come back in 6 weeks, and like 12 weeks they're putting on a concert.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's some flubs here
Yeah.
and there, but you know what? They're playing
They're
music.
making music
They are.
together.
And I always,
Yeah.
and I can remember talking to Ed Richards up at RMA, and it was a band he was in, and I thought, how can you get these 20 or 30 kids playing
Yeah.
30 different instruments,
Yeah.
and it just amazes
It's pretty
me.
amazing.
I know.
So you can come and see the fruit of their effort.
Yeah.
We'll be better than 5th graders.
Yes. But you know what?
yeah.
Really, actually, those are the kind of kids you need to play. So they raise a
Yeah,
lot of
absolutely.
money because
I know.
Well,
I
you know what? Yeah, I don't know how much time you have, but when this we first started, and like we said, it was COVID and everything. We did put kids out on the street, and
Right.
that was for that Christmas on Main when
Right.
the street was open. And
Yeah.
we drew a crowd, and it was
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
fun.
people love
And
it.
we want to do more and more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You
We've
don't
been
have
in,
to
you know,
be. You don't have to be perfect to play an instrument.
No.
no,
If you're enjoying
Yeah.
it and getting the enjoyment out of it,
Yeah.
that's good enough. You'll get
You're
that-
sharing your heart with
That's
other
what it
people,
is.
and then they share.
And
They have
people-
opportunity to share it with
And
you.
and
Yeah,
people do
you
hear
touch
that.
people.
They don't
Yeah.
hear the
The notes.
notes.
Yeah.
They hear
Yeah.
what's coming from the heart. That's
Yeah.
what music is. It's great.
Yeah.
Anyway, well,
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank
April
you.
the
Well,
2nd. Yes.
I
one
wanted
more?
to also say it's mountainviewmusic.org and come to it. But if you can't, I would say just sign up there because we have newsletters. So anytime we have concert, a lot of people are like, oh, I didn't know about the concert. Or
Yeah.
even
Right.
like we've been having
Yep.
concerts for, the past several months. And Ben David Warner was there
Right.
just this
He's been
past.
there 3 times,
Yeah,
right?
he's been there a couple
Right.
of times. So
He's
just
great.
like, don't miss out. You want to see all the different musicians because they're really fantastic.
Right.
So
Mountain Music.
Mountain View
View
Music.
Mountain View Music.
Music
You gotta change your name to
dot
Mountain
org.
Music.
I know. Mountain
That's
Music.
one of our clients, Mountain Music. Anyway, whatever. Mountainviewmusic.org.
.org, yes.
All right. There
Yeah.
you go.
Sign up.
213 East
217
217.
East
East
Main Street.
Street.
You've got me
Right by the Indian restaurant. Go have some food and then come to the concert.
Yeah.
It's a great restaurant.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. We have a lot of amazing things on Main Street.
I know.
217 East Main Street, April the 2nd. It's a great concert, free will offering. You'll love it. It'll be enjoyable, and we really enjoy you all coming back soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Love
much
it.
for having
again.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you.